Okay, so welcome. Today, in this first episode, we are organising to look at the portages of Auckland. Now, there are two main portages. In fact, the number of portages around Auckland are quite numerous, but we're only going to be concentrating on two. Now, what is a portage? A portage is a landmass that people normally will have to carry their equipment over. In this case, normally canoes. So in times gone by, the portages of Auckland have been used by Maori to move from one harbour to another harbour by dragging the canoes over a landmass, which is called a portage. So let's get started. So here we have the map. This is the council website. It has the map of Auckland, and if we look at the central part of Auckland, this landmass here, which is often referred to as the Isthmus of Auckland, is the main central Auckland, and it's separated by a portage which exists here, which is called the Whau Portage, and another portage which exists just over here, which is the Otahuhu Portage, and they separate what is often referred to as central Auckland. Over here we have West Auckland, we have the North Shore up here, we have East Auckland, and down around here we have South Auckland, and that pretty much canvasses all of Auckland. We have the ranges out here, the Titirangi Ranges, and here, this section in the middle here, this is the Manukau Harbour, which empties out into what we call the Tasman Ocean. And over here we have the Waitemata Harbour. This is the Waitemata Estuary or Waitemata Harbour in here. And this leads out to the Pacific. So the Pacific leads out to, I don't know, Chile. It's a big ocean. And the Tasman heads off to Australia. And we're in there. So here we have some big islands. This is the most beautiful island, which is Rangitoto Island. And what we're going to do now is we're going to have a little look at the Whau Portage. So let's just zoom in a little bit here. And we're zooming in on the Whau Portage, which is this portage here. Now this here is part of the Waitemata Harbour, which leads off to the Pacific, and over here we have the Manukau Harbour, which leads off to the Tasman Sea to our west. This leads off to the east, and in here we have the Whau Estuary comes down here and makes its way through here, around here, through the back of New Lynn here, over here, makes its way down to about here, where it stops. In fact, if you've got a big canoe, you'd probably stop further back than that. But then it's a matter of dragging the canoe overland to the Manukau, where it can be relaunched. Now, I purchased a drone some time back. I'm still getting a little bit used to it. But I went and organised to take some footage of this whole area so that we can have a little bit of a look-see as to what it's all about there and get a good idea of what it is. So let's open the window here now, and we'll just start the start. So this is the Whau Portage. So let's just hold it there. So here we are, we're looking out from, looking out towards the city. This is the city and the high-rise buildings. This is Rangitoto Island here. And here we have the Waitemata Harbour, which is coming up the, well, that area there, isn't it? And then we pivot round here to where the Whau Estuary comes in. So the Whau Estuary comes in here. And this road here is the Northwestern Motorway. So this is right near Te Atatu. This is Te Atatu Peninsula here. And the Whau Estuary comes down here. So I took this video at dawn, and there was a lot of rowers out there practicing rowing. Over here we have Kelston. Further back here we have Swanson. This is the Waitakere Ranges, sorry, not the Titirangi Ranges, the Waitakere Ranges. And we just move down So that's sort of Kelston coming into New Lynn area, and as we rotate we get flashed by the sun a little bit, but that won't last long. And now we're looking out towards New Lynn. So if we look here, this is New Lynn over here, and what we'll quickly look at, basically at the moment the drone has been sent up from this point here. So it's been sent up straight in the air, and I'm just rotating it to look around. So we looked from over here, we've looked down, and now we're looking down the estuary here, but we can really only see about as far as here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come over to this point here, and I'm going to send the drone up again so that we can get a better look. So beautiful morning, actually. It was gorgeous. Here we are. Now these were taken over different days, so don't worry about the tides coming in or going out. So here we are. Basically I sent the drone up on the previous one from this point here. So I sent the drone up in the end here. Now we're on the edge of, this is Ken Mulder Park, for anyone who is familiar with Auckland. And this is morning traffic here, and you can see that the estuary comes down and wends its way around the back here. And this is about 9 o'clock in the morning, if I remember rightly. And it wends its way around the back of the industrial part of New Lynn. This is the Avondale Racecourse here. Okay, just to get your bearings. So this is going to wend its way around here and around the back of here. But again, we can't really see where it goes. So we've moved again. We were over here with the previous drone exercise, but this time now we've moved. Let's just go in a bit closer here. We are now at Olympic Park. And Olympic Park, where are you, Olympic Park? We've come over, here's Olympic Park. So I'm just actually here at the moment. So before we were over here, and now we've moved over to here. So let's go back and have a look at that again. So we see the river coming down here, wending its way around the back there. A lovely shot of the train arriving there. It zips and zaps around here, and off it goes down here. Now obviously there's been a lot of reclamation in Auckland over the last 200 years, and things have been straightened out, things have been filled in, but you still get an idea of where this creek ran. It was probably moderately tidal up to about here, and from here on up it was probably just from a stream and the catchment of this whole area. So the creek by now I'd say would flow up here, and this is up towards Titirangi Golf. This Titirangi Golf Course is up here, and the stream wends its way up through here. Okay, let's just go back a little way. So let's just move that up a bit. Yep, it's getting closer. So I was on the back there, so I was over here. Where was I? Oh yes, I was over here videoing. Now I've moved further down, and I'm taking a video now from in here looking back into there. So let's go back there and have a look. So here we are looking back. I was over there now, and here comes that creek, and it kind of peters out here. You can't really tell where it peters out, but effectively the slope of the land increases here, goes up over a significant hill, and then slopes down, and then goes down to the Manukau Harbour, and over here is where the harbour empties out into the Tasman Ocean. So what we're going to do also now is go over here. Let's just hold that a second. I was a bit slow there. Come on. Okay, we're going to go over here and send up the drone again, and we're going to have a look at this final part where it comes down. So here I am at the end of the Portage. you can see I'm sending the drone out to sea, but you can see it's very steep here, very steep, and it comes down to a flat area here. So we'll just go on out to sea, and then we'll turn around and have a look at the sloping part of the portage that finally makes its way down to the Manukau harbour. I'm still getting used to flying the drone, so you just have to put up with these little stops here and there. In fact, I'm terrified that it's going to end up in the water, but so far we're good. So we're looking back towards the portage now, and this is actually called Portage Road. It's the final end of Portage Road, and this is where they would have brought their canoes down, and finally this is the last slope and into the water. So that's it's quite a distance. We're going to look at this on the map a bit more and get an idea of what things might have been in times gone by. So there's no other place really where they would have brought it along this coast. This is the only possibility. Bring it down into here. So I think we've seen enough of that now, and we can move on. Actually, I'm going down a bit just to look back up at the general topography and the slope of the land there. So once you've got it over this hill here, you're okay. It was downhill pretty much from there. Okay, enough of that. Let's move on now to where we are on the map. So the area, it's hard to say just how far a person could bring their canoe along this stretch here. Very difficult to say, but you have a feeling that it's moderately flat to here, and you could have got a canoe, especially a small canoe, could have got this far. But from here on, you're starting to go uphill, so there's no water, and you're going to have to drag it over that length. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go back, because this is modern day, and of course the golf course, everyone's changing the topography significantly. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at this map on and what the land was like in 1940. So we just have to give it a few seconds for it to come into being, and then we'll be able to have another good look. So this is exactly the same area. So the fields that we were looking at a little while ago are back to about here, and you kind of see the creek does kind of peter out here, and this is pretty much where the land would have, where you'd have to start carrying. So what we're going to do is we're just going to have a look at the contours. Now these contours are not the contours back in 1940, these are the contours of today. So you can kind of see the creek wending its way through here. Possibly it might have come here, who knows, it might have come all the way here, but definitely you're starting to go up the hill around about here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw what I think might have been the actual portage, assuming that where you'd basically be taking it up the least slope. So what you're looking for are grid lines where they are far apart. So you'd probably come up here. I mean, this is all changed now, so we really don't know. And you'd probably come around here. You've got this sort of band here. You'd come down here, maybe through here, around here, down here, and then you'd finally make it to the water, being very careful not to smash your boat on the end there. And that distance there is 1.5 kilometres. So about a 1.5 kilometre drag over that area would give you access from one harbour to the other. I think it would be very difficult to bring your canoe up that slope. So this probably would be used when going from the Waitemata Harbour over to the Manukau, as opposed to vice versa. And you have a feeling it would probably be smaller canoes. Of the two portages that we're talking about today, this is probably the least used. Certainly from an historical point of view, it's not mentioned that much. So let's just go and have a look at that in 2010. So drag that over there, and that's the area that would be. So that there is called the Whau Portage, and that is the portage that separates the isthmus on the western side. Now if we come across to the Otahuhu portage, the one on the other side, let's just go out a little bit, okay, and get our bearings. So here we are, here's the city, here's the Browns Island, this is Whau Golf Club on the end there, and this is the Tamaki estuary. This used to be called Waimakoia in days gone by. We have Pamnua here, we have the Pamnua Basin, the river flows down here, through here, through here. Now the portage we're talking about this time is the portage that comes up this creek here and through here, which is part of Otahuhu, and basically the portage begins here and you have to drag your canoe across to here. Now this is probably the most famous and the easiest portage, especially if you're dealing with large canoes. If you're dealing with large canoes, this is definitely the better portage. And this is the portage that Honihika would have used when he came down in order to go down to the Waikato and attack the Waikato. He would have come down from the Bay of Islands down the east coast in here, down this portage, and then across here into the Manukau, and then off from here. Okay, so let's look at this in a bit more detail. So here we have the estuary that comes into the Tamaki River. So I have a video of that, so let's get in there and let's get that one sorted. So we'll go to final Otahuhu Portages. So here we are. Oh yes, that's bloody good. Getting a bit brave with my drone at the moment, but this is taken from Mount Wellington, referred to in Maori as Mangare. So here we are looking out and we're swiveling around, and what we're looking at here is I'll just zoom in a bit. What we're looking at here is the entrance to the Tamaki River. Okay, so here we have Browns Island, here's the Whau Golf Club, Bucklands Beach in the eastern suburbs. Out here we have Motahi, and so on. So to get to the Otahuhu Portage, you'd come in down here and make your way down this river. Well, not a river, it's an estuary. And we'll just swing around here and bring ourselves over. Oh, a bit of jutting there, but not to worry. And this is sort of coming down Pamnua here, and we now come over to this point here. Okay, so what we're looking at here is this is the Pamnua city, township here. We have a prominent landmass here. The actual river continues behind here and heads down here. This here is the Pamnua Basin, and this is the outlet for the Pamnua Basin. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to come over to around about here and send the drone up again so we can get another look at the continuing journey down the Tamaki estuary. So here we are now, we're looking back to where we were. So here I was up on Mount Wellington here, looking over towards Pamnua. Pamnua Basin is just tucked in here. And we'll just swing down, and it's a wonderful Rangitoto. What a great island that is. Okay, and anyway, we swing back here. Let's just stop and point out a few things. Here we have Mount Eden, Mount Hobson. No, I'm not 100% sure those two. It's okay, we're swinging around here, and let's just stop here. So here definitely we have the Manukau Harbour. So this is our goal to get there. This is Mount Mangere Mountain there, and over behind it is the outlet of the Manukau Harbour to the Tasman Sea. So as we swing down here, we're looking out over Otahuhu now. Otahuhu, sorry, let's get this right. Okay, and obviously the Tamaki estuary goes into various other places here, but the branch that we're looking at or need to consider is this branch that comes in here and wends its way around there. Now what I'm going to do next, I'm going to come over somewhere around about here and send the drone up again so I can get a bit of a closer look at that area. Here we are. So we're looking back now. So we're looking back over, I was over here, by the way. That's kind of where I was on the previous one, and now this is that branch that I said we need to go down and look at a bit closer. So it wends its way down here, and it basically crosses underneath the main motorway, which is right there, and it heads off further towards the Manukau Harbour. So let's just stop it there. So it comes underneath the motorway, obviously, and all this is pretty much mangroves now, but who knows what it was like back in those days. I know that Honi Hika came down here about 1820, 1821 with about 40 or 50 war canoes, a real large logistics exercise. But the estuary flows further on down here, and we lose sight of it here. I can't go very high here because there's height restrictions on my drone. But the next place I'm going to come up is to send my drone up just around here by these trees. So we'll go over there in a couple of seconds. Here we are, and right, so we're looking back here. This is the motorway here. You'll see the motorway going here, and then the estuary comes on down here, comes through here and here. So I'm now over by the cemetery at Otahuhu, and we're now looking at what is a rather pathetic stream, but still a moderately broad stream. And obviously there's been a lot of land reclamations here, so we're not 100% sure exactly what has been filled in, what hasn't been filled in. Here I am trying to figure out how to get my drone to do this. Anyway, there's the cemetery, and basically the estuary continues pretty much to the end of these trees, so we're right near the close end of it. Now I've just moved over here towards this is Mount Richmond here, which is about 200 yards away from where I am, and unfortunately I'm panning it the wrong way, but this is the Manukau Harbour, and I'm just going to pan back to that previous place where I was. So this road here is actually called Portage Road, but I don't think that was the road or the route that was taken by the canoes, because it's a bit too steep. I think the route itself was actually further down here. You can sort of see a slope up here to a large area. My feeling is that the portage would have been around the back of these houses here, and we're going to look at that in a bit more detail as soon as we're finished with this. Okay, so over here, let's stop. Okay, so here's that area where the kids were walking over. This is where I sent the drone up last time, and you have a feeling that the portage is going to finish around here, right at the end of the cemetery. So from then on, basically people had to pick up the canoe and start carrying it. Now, a canoe would be somewhere on the order of, the big war canoes would be 20 tons, 25 tons. So, and they would hold maybe 60, 70 canoers, rowers. They would have sails, they would have supplies. The logistics of this whole exercise would be quite amazing. Anyway, that doesn't concern us right at the moment. What does concern us is the actual route they might have taken. So let's just go over here. So here we've come down, we've come down here, we've come down here, we've come down here, and finally we can't go any further. So let's just zoom in on that. And here we go, give it a little time to get sorted. We might zoom in a bit more. There we go. So here we are, we've got the cemetery that we saw a little while ago, and right, there we are. So here we are. So probably from here through to here is the distance that I have to carry these canoes. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at a 1940 picture of this and see what that has to offer. it'll take a little while to load. But gee, the exercise of actually, you often hear about the Maori Wars and various things, but the logistics behind them would have taken a modern day general a lot of, here we go, a lot of planning. So who knows where it went to, but it seems like it's definitely coming all this way. And when you look at it, you actually see that that road that is all being joined up and filled in is stopped by the estuary. Okay, what we're now going to do is we're going to put the contour maps back on. This is modern day contours, so we can't be sure, but let's just assume things, I mean, this is all guesswork, so your guess is as good as mine, but let's assume that they could come as far as here. Now, using the fact that they always want to go up the least smallest gradient, then you'd probably come from here and possibly come around here, up over here. You could go anywhere you liked here, but you'd probably come over here, and you'd come around here, and this is all downslope now, so you actually want a bit of slope, and then you'd probably launch it into this creek around about here. So looking at that, that's a route of approximately 1,500 metres, okay, which, if you're carrying a 20-tonne, well, you're not carrying, you'd have rollers, all sorts of things that would aid you in moving the canoes. And the Maoris, I must admit, were extremely skilled in portaging their canoes. It was obviously one of the things they did extremely well. So that's the portage, a possible route. Definitely coming up over here, we're Portage Road. This is actually Portage Road. Let's go to the modern day look at things. Portage Road, let's get rid of the contours. So Portage Road is this road here. And you have a feeling that would be one hard baby to lift that thing over. And my feeling is they would have taken the lower slope. Who knows? I don't know. Only those who did it would know. Okay, so the other two portages of Auckland. I hope you have a better understanding. There are actually a lot of portages in Auckland, but these are probably the two main ones. So that's this episode, the Portages of Auckland. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you're driving around these places at some stage, have a good look. That's it. Signing out. Till next time. This is the Kiwi Codger, wishing you all well.